Tonight for Parshas Kiseitze, we're going to speak about an aspect of a sugya which we've spoken about several times in the past. The pasuk says, "Lo yia kli gever al isha v'lo yilbash gever simlas isha." So this is deraisa for a man to wear the clothes of a woman and vice versa. The Targum writes on this pasuk, Targum Unkelis, Lo yehei tikun zayin de gavar al yitza. The Targum learns that this specifically is referring that a woman is not allowed to wear firearms. Zayin. It's a whole shalan halacha about a woman carrying a gun. V'lo yisakin gavar b'tikuna yitza. And a man is not allowed to do the types of clothing or the types of jewelry that a woman wears. This rabbi says a lav d'oraisa, lav sheish by maisa, a lav which you get malchus, and it's counted by all the mighty mitzvahs, and it's gepaskint in Shulchan Aruch Yeridea and Siman Kuf Pei Beis, Sifhei, where the Mechaber writes, Leisa de Yisha ha de Yish, Kishen Shetasim Bareisha Mitznefes Oikaiva Oitilbas Siryoin V'Kayetze Bay. That a woman is not allowed to wear a beged that is specific and usually worn by a man. For instance, a hat, Oitilbas Siryoin, she shouldn't wear armor because armor was normally worn by men, not by women. V'Kayetze Bay. The Tur adds, which means every society has its style of dress, what men wear, what women wear. So therefore, a woman is not allowed to wear the types of garments that men wear. The Mechaber continues, "V'lo yada ish ada isha." A man is not allowed to wear the type of clothing and jewelry that a woman wears. K'gain sheyilbash bigdei tzivonim v'chelei zohov. Man's not allowed to wear gold jewelry. B'makom shein leiv sheneisan hakelim vein mesim neisa hacheli elo nashim. The Mechaber says in a place where only women wear this type of jewelry. But as part of what I think the further deterioration of society today, it's men wear earrings, men wear necklaces, men wear bracelets. When we were growing up, or at least when I was growing up, that wasn't the case. But so the Mechaber in fact bavorns that this applies, which means it can change from generation to generation. But if you have a garment that's specific for a woman, like a dress. I'm not speaking about a kilt, but a dress or vice versa. So a man's not allowed to wear women's clothing and vice versa. So as I mentioned, we've spoken about this various aspects of this halacha in the past. Tonight we're going to speak about a specific inyan. And that is that this is not uncommon to see at chasanas that in the person's desire to be misameh chasan v'kala, someone will dress up like a woman, sheitel and all, dress and all, and will come in by the men and dance by the men, chasan shtik, in order to be misameh chasan v'kala. Similarly, Rabbi Sai, which is I think even more common, is that on Purim it's not at all strange for a man to dress up like a woman. He'll come to the base medrash, or come around collecting. The question, Rabbi Say, is, does this issur even prohibit when a person is wearing women's clothing, not because he wants to necessarily look like a woman? Well, actually, he does want to look like a woman, but a person is doing this for an ulterior purpose. He's doing this for an ulterior motive. He's doing this to make fun, to make shtick, to make happy, etc. Is that included in this issur as well? So like many things, Rabbi Sai, this seems to be a very, very important and definite and stark machloikis harishonim. And it has to do with how we understand the Yisur. Rashi over here in Parshas Kiseitze writes explicitly, Lo yiyeh klei gever al isha shehetei doimeh leish k'dei shetelech bein ha'anoshim she'ein zo elo l'shem niyuf. Rashi sheet and Chumash over here in Parshas Kiseitze is that the reason a woman is not allowed to dress up a man's clothing is because the woman who's doing this, the woman is doing this for nefarious reasons. Meaning she wants to dress up like a man in order to be like a man. Kidei shetela bein hanashim she'ein zeh elo l'shem niyuf. She's doing this for ulterior motives. Specifically, she's doing this for promiscuous reasons. She wants to, in fact, somehow or another engage men, and as a result of that, kan lidei znus, kan lidei adultery, l'shem niyuf. V'lo yilbash gever simlas isa leilech v'leisha ben hanashim. So Rashi defines this whole Isser as not an absolute Isser. It doesn't mean that if a man puts on a dress, he's right away over on the Isser deraisa of Lo Yilbash Gever Simlas Isha. If a person puts on a dress for the purposes of mingling among the women, or vice versa, because a person wants to use this as an entree to get and to be mizana for promiscuous and for zlustika reasons, that's the yisur. But it's clearly mashma from Rashi Shita and Chumash that if a person doesn't do that, it's absent that reason, he's not doing it at all, l'shem znuth, l'shem niyuf, then b'chi haygavna, the yisur would not apply. And therefore it would seem that according to Rashi, Enochinami, for a man to dress up like a woman at a chasana and to dance among the men when everybody knows that this is just a disguise, this is just a costume, B'chi Haygavna, according to Rashi, this would not be Yosser. That seems to be Rashi's Shita. Now, you can't necessarily paskin based on a Rashi in the Perish HaChumash, but this Shita Rabbi Sai is articulated by the Tshuvas Mari Mintz, Simin Yud Zayin. The Mari Mintz Rabbi Sai was a Rav and a Rashiva in a town of Italy called Padua, which was the home to apparently many famous Gedolim. There's the famous Tshuvas Maram Padua, but this is the Tshuvas Mahari Padua, and he in fact is of the same Shita of Rashi, that any time a person does this, not for purposes of znus and adultery and the like, b'chi haygavna, this is not bichlal the yisur at all. What's he dealing with? Where does he say this? So he bases this Rabbi Sai on a tesis in Masechta Avodah Zarah. The Gemara says in Avodah Zarah on Daf Chav Tes, Tana Rabbanan Yisrael hamistaper meyakum roya b'mara. In Talmudic times, Rabbi Sai, there was a problem with going to a non-Jewish barber. Because, when you go to a barber and you're in a certain sense putting yourself in the hands of the barber. I mean, the barber has razors, the barber has sharp knives, and in those days, Rabbi Yisai, in Talmudic times, the relationships between the Goyim and Jews was not always the best. So you sit down in the barber chair, you don't know whether the guy wants to trim the back of your neck or he wants to trim the front of your neck. So, Mamela, the Gemara says in Masech Avodah Zarah, Yisrael mistaper makom roya b'mara. So in order to protect yourself, the halacha is you're allowed to look in the mirror and to make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do and he doesn't have any malevolent intentions. Now, that's what the Brisa says. So Taisus writes in Masech Avodah Zarah, Mashma she'asar le'ish lireis b'mara. From this Gemara, Taisus says in Avodah Zarah that under normal circumstances, a man is not allowed to look in a mirror. Now, why is not a man allowed to look in the mirror? Zok Taisus v'nira ki atam mishum lo yilbash gever simlas isha. So Taisa says a fantastic thing in Masech Avodah Zarah, and that is looking into a mirror, Rabbi Yisai, is something that women do and men don't do. So Taisa is of the opinion, at least at this point, that for a man to look into a mirror in order to beautify himself, that is a problem of lo yilbash gever simlas isha. And this is not so wild, and maybe it's wild to us, but I'm told, I've never been in one, but I'm told that in Hasidic yeshivas, they don't have mirrors. Like, if you walk into the bathroom in the yeshivas near Yisrael, there are mirrors. People, they comb their hair, they shave, etc. But in Hasidic yeshivas, they don't have mirrors because of this issue of that it's sinlas isha. So therefore, Zoktesis Masech Avodah Zarah, this is where the Gemara is coming from. The Gemara is saying that if you're looking in the mirror when you're in the barber chair to make sure that the guy's not going to slit your throat, B'chi Hagavna, there is no problem, although you'll gever simos isha. Zoktesis Masech Avodah Zarah. So Taisa says over there in Masech Avodah Zarah, at the end, that this entire Isser, for a man to look into a mirror, which Taisis is of the opinion that the prohibition for a man to look into a mirror is when a person's looking into a mirror for cosmetic purposes. He wants to beautify himself. But if you're looking in the mirror to shave, which means you don't want to cut yourself, you're trimming your beard. So, try trimming your beard blindfolded, and then go see the... Because invariably you're going to cut yourself. I'm not even talking with a razor. You stop cutting you're trimming your mustache. So try trimming your mustache without a mirror. That even if it is prohibited for a person to look into a mirror, that's only when a person looks into a mirror like a woman looks into a mirror. A woman looks into a mirror, she has to put on the mascara, she has to put on the eyeliner, she has to put on the makeup, the lipstick, the powder, as we all know. But you have a problem with your eyes. You have an infection in your eye. You have to put medicine in your eye. Or whatever it may be. You have to look at your eye. What's wrong with your eye? You wake up in the morning. Your eye hurts you. What's wrong with my eye? So you look in the mirror. So Taisa says that was never Bichlal the Yisr. Varay mutter. That's Varay mutter. Ubaychen libay suyedeya. Who's going to know what your reason is? The teretz is the person that has to know, the being that has to know is going to know. The Rebbeinu Shalom is going to know what your reason, what your motive is. Azay Zoktesis and Masech Avodah Zarah. So Taisus over here establishes and says that the act of looking into a mirror can be also, can be mutter. If a person looks into a mirror like women look into a mirror, for the same reasons that women look into a mirror, that's in fact also. But if a person looks into a mirror for other reasons, in order that he shouldn't injure himself when he's shaving, for whatever reason it may be, that's mutter. Azay Zoktesis and Masech Avodah Zarah. Zok the Tshuvis Mahari means that this Taisis is a makar and a proof that when a person will dress up like a woman for non-znus purposes, but he's dressing up like a woman either for Simchas Purim or for Simchas Chassan V'Kala, Zok Taisis, this Taisis in Masech Avodah Zarah tells us that this is not awesome. And the Mahari Mintz writes as follows. He deals with this issue of Bachrim who dress up like women or girls who dress up like men. And he says, Avabasi litol schar the mitzvah litain tam lohavi rayim ha'aro al kocha gedolim v'chasida yolim shem nisgalti yetzlo. I was by grace and gedolim, says the Mahari Mintz. Asher ro b'neim u'b'neiseim chasaneim v'kalaseim loy v'shoisim partzufim. I saw people, gedolim, whose children used to dress up with costumes and disguise themselves as the opposite sex. V'shinu bigdei mi bigdei ish la bigdei ish v'chein lepev v'epach. V'im hoya chas v'sholom min dud aveira. If this would in any way, shape, or form be usher, Why didn't they say something? They won't let their children do this if this was usher. And therefore, the teretz is that they held that when you dress up in costumes for the sake of Simchas Purim, and you're not doing it in order to, for like Rashi saying, for nefarious purposes, that's not Bichlal the Yisr. And the Raya L'Davar is Taisis in Avodah Zarah. That just like Taisis tells us in Avodah Zarah that looking in a mirror for the purposes of shaving and the like is not Bichlal the Yisr, says the Mari Mins, Hu Adin v'Hu Atam, when it comes to costumes. And therefore, veneerly Raya L'Divrayim, who brayse the Meis Mesech Avodah Zarah, v'Perek Amamid, etc. And he brings this Taisis in Mesech Avodah Zarah. So the Mari Mins Rabbi Sai is the opinion, just like Rashi, that when a person does not do this for these non-kosher reasons, it's not usher. Now, truth be told, Rabbi Sai, one could be mechalek between the case of dressing up like a woman on Purim and looking in a mirror. Because looking in a mirror, what defines whether that's an Isser is all totally in the Kavanah. Which means, what's wrong with looking in a mirror? The answer is, if you look in a mirror because you want to act like a woman, that's what makes it Usher. If you don't look in a mirror to look like a woman, but you want to look in the mirror in order to shave, that's not called Bichlal Malbus Hayisha. That's what makes looking into a mirror Malbus Hayisha. The act per se is not an act of imitating a woman. What makes it into imitating a woman is because if you do it like a woman looks into a mirror, that creates the Yisr. Masha'en Kain, when you wear a dress, you're wearing a dress. When you're wearing a dress, you're looking like a woman. So that is essentially Yosef. So Rashi goes ahead and tells us that if you don't have the right kavanah, that's also not Yosef. But from Taisis and Avodah Zarah per se, this is not such a good raya. Because Taisis is telling us in Masechet Avodah Zarah that the act of looking into a mirror in and of itself is not an Isser, it's not imitating a woman. What makes it into imitating a woman? Your kavanah. You have the kavanah, it's also. You don't have the kavanah, it's not an act of silbas isha, of sinlas isha. Masha'en Kain, when you're wearing a dress and you're wearing a sheitel, you are wearing a sinlas isha. Taisus doesn't go that far. So the Mari Mince's raya from Masechet Avodah Zarah, l'chayra we can taina on. But Azay Zok the Jew is Mari Mince. He was from the early Achrayim, and therefore that's what he holds for halacha l'maisa, and therefore he was mater for people to wear masks or dresses on Purim l'simchas Purim l'simchas chosam v'kala. Yes.
What if a person puts on a dress but it's so evidently clear that the person is a man?
But, I mean, that would be totally this. But the truth of the matter is, when you wear a dress, you're wearing a simlas isha. As opposed to looking in a mirror is simlas isha per se. That's the chilek. So as I mentioned, Rabbi Isai, this is a machlokes harishayim. And the Sefer Yereim, which is also one of the Sefer Meinei HaMitzvahs, which was written by Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz in Siman Shin Pei Hey and Siman Shin Pei Vav, writes mafurish that it is also for a man to wear and to dress up like a woman, no matter what the reason is that you're doing it. And he writes, "V'lil baish afilu aroi." That if you're dressing up like a woman, derech haroy, which means just temporarily, the derech schaik, that you're doing it just for shtick. To Torah doesn't say 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The Torah doesn't say you do it permanently, you do it temporarily. The Torah doesn't say shchaik, not shchaik. The Torah says don't wear a dress. The Rav Lezer Mimitz, it doesn't make a difference. I feel l'shchaik. And he says, L'fisha re'isi b'nei adam shaloivshim malbusei nashim aroi l'shchaik. Because I've seen this practice. I've gone to chasanas and I've seen men dressing up like women, or I've been on Purim and I've seen what's happened. And this is very disturbing to me. So the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz is Barer Milolai, that the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz says that no matter what reason you're doing it, you're not allowed a person not allowed to dress up like a woman, even for the most noble of purposes, the most innocuous of purposes. You just want to make the chassan kala smile. Misameh chassan v'kala. Doesn't make a difference. You're not allowed to put on a dress. You're not allowed to put on a sheitel. Me'esitan, for whatever reason.
So there's no
Who's asking that? No, there is no Esidei Chaleisas of the Sameach Chasam B'Kala being Deichal Lav the rice of the Torah. No, the answer to that is no. What about dyeing your hair is what we spoke about in past years, and that's also awesome. Now, the Bach Rabbi Sai quotes this Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz, and the Bach ironically adds, and I don't know where the Bach got this from, but when the Bach quotes the Lashon of the Eliezer Mimitz, he says, "Ulefi sharayisi b'nei adam avn shaleivshim abushi ish aroi v'gamish amushay ish aroi b'mishtol shal chasen v'kala v'gam b'inyanim arbi kasavti kei." Now the Bach, ironically, Rabbi say, quotes the Lashon of the Rav Eliezer Mimitz almost verbatim, except he sticks in 3 words over here, or 4 words. B'mishtol shal chasen v'kala. Now the Rav Eliezer Mimitz himself never said those words. So there's a sefer, there's a peirish on the bottom of the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz called Tayafais Re'im. So he points this out, that the Bach quotes the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz, and indeed the sheet of the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz is, it doesn't make a difference why you're wearing it, and even if it's derech haroy, and even if it's derech shaik, but those words, b'mishtos chasen v'kala, that you do this at a shever brachas or at a chasana, the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz never said those actual words. But the upshot of it is whether the Bach had a different girsa, or whether the Bach just inadvertently stuck that in. The bottom line is, the upshot is that the Bach writes himself, the Bach on the tour, V'nir la'ani astaiti, Didvar b'sem d'chuyim, which means the remitz, when the Rimi Padava, his words are incorrect, because Mimasha Kosav Rav Eliezer Mimitz, Da'af mishtosh l'chostem v'kala iki surah alma da'af ma'asha'isi misham simcha sosem v'kala eina daicha la'isa k'dei li'hinatzal men hatzar v'chein bedin li'hinatzal mitzar yesher ben yinacher. The Bach throws in a different svara. He says, when you're shaving and you have to look in the mirror, you have no other eitzah. So therefore, you're allowed to look in the mirror. But who says that the way you have to misameh chasen v'kala is by dressing up like a woman? So Memela, therefore the Bach says, therefore the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz is right, or the Yereim is right, and the Chuvas Mari Mintz is wrong, and therefore the Bach paskins lahalacha lemaisa like the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz, the Sefer Rom, and therefore it's also according to the Bach to dress up for like a woman, no matter why you're doing it, even if it's for shtik, even if it's for shchaik, even if it's on Purim, etc. So now, Rabbi Isai, we have to get to the bottom line. So the Chidah, in his Sefer Shiurei Brocha, the Chidah Rabbeinu Chaim Yosef David Azuloi, the great Sephardi Pesach, writes, he says, Ein lo hakel lil beishi simchas isha v'hahefech afilu b'simchas sasan v'kala. The Chidah paskins like the Bach, and he says, because the Rambam in a letter, in fact, also paskin like this. Sefer Maser Umisamer Kavose Uvde Ro, Sefer Yereim, and he says you have the Rambam, who's Alvada Rishon, you have the Sefer Yereim that's also Rishon. So he says you have two Rishonim that say that it's also for a person to dress like a woman, even for Simchas Chosan V'Kala. Mihu Zeh Ve'ezahu, that's going to go against these two Gedolei Olam. And therefore, the Chidah paskins that it's also. Now, ironically, Rabbi Yisai, the Ramah and Shulchan Aruch and Arachayim and Hilchos Megillah talks about this very case. Zocht Rabbeinu HaRamah, the Pesach for Ashkenazim. Masha Noagu Lilbeish Partsufin Bepurim V'Gever Leves Shimlas Isha V'Isha Klegever. Zokti Ramah, that which on Purim men dress up like women, vice versa, ein iser bedavar. It's not asur. Me'achar she'ein mechavnin ela l'simcha ba'alma. So the Ramah paskins like Rashi, that if you don't do it for znus purposes, or like the Mari Minst, Mari Padava, that it is in fact mutar. Zeh shtei in Ramah. Then the Ramah says, "V'yeshaymim da'aser." Now that Yeshaym Rabbi Yisai is the Bach, is the Yereim, is the Chidah, and the Chidah, the Rambam as well. V'yeshaymim da'aser. Alo haminig kisvara rishayna. The minig Rabbi Yisai is that we do dress up. Men dress up like women, and vice versa. So if you were asking me how you should be naheg, I would tell you it's a difference whether you're a Sephardi or an Ashkenazi. If you are a Sephardi and you have the Rambam and you have Chidah that says that it's asur, then I would tell you that you taka shouldn't do it. But mi lanu gadol mi Rabbeinu HaRamah, that the Ramah himself says that it's mutzah. Now I must point out that the Mishnah Berurah is not as quick to be matter this as the Ramah. The Mishnah Berurah writes, Ein b'Yeridea simen kuf pei bei shekasa shamataz b'shem habach sheyesh levatal minig zeh hein b'Purim v'hein oy b'simchas chosan v'kala. The Taz brings from the Bach that this is also in our rabbi. So you all know that who was the Taz's father-in-law? The Bach. So the Taz brings from his father-in-law the Bach that we mentioned, that the Bach says that it's asur. V'kakasa ber hagayla v'im kol malbushim shalish rak mo moshachet shalisha v'nikarim heim efsher she'lim kos behem. So this is what Mr. Tenenbaum, you pointed out, that if you're wearing you're wearing one beged of an isha, but the rest of the beged is the beged of a malbushim, then you could be mekel. So, for instance, if you have a beard and you're dressing up with this like with a sheitel, then says the Mishnah Berurah it's ein l'minchas biyadim. So Mishnah Berurah is not as quick or comfortable to be matter this. He brings the Bach, he brings the best the most he's willing to go is that if you're wearing other clothes that it's evident that you're a man, then it's not a problem. So if you would ask me again, what should you do even if you're an Ashkenazi, I would tell you, get another costume. So just Rabbi said, I want to end with two fascinating things. The whole shir is kedai just for these two fascinating horas. There's a sefer called Leiv HaIvri, written by Rabbi Kiva Yosef Schlesinger, which was published in Yerushalayim, Tafshin Nun. He brings an amazing thing. Shamaiti mais me haRamah asher meis ben legimel shana. The Ramah died when he was 33 years old. Now, when I happened to mention at supper tonight to my wife that the Ramah died when he was 33 years old, she says, "I can't believe it." And that's my wife, who doesn't know from the Darkei Moshe, who doesn't really know from the Tshuvas HaRamah, that doesn't know from the Yissocher Frand and all this form that the Ramah wrote. But at least you know that Ramah died when he was 33 as a young man. So he died when he was 33. Umeis Belag Ba'omer. He died on Lag Ba'omer. So the Ramah was 33 years old. He died on the 33rd day of the Omer. Bishnas Shin Lamed Gimel. V'asa Lamed Gimel Svarim. Pella. The Ramah wrote 33 Svarim, died when he was 33, died on Lag Ba'omer in Shnas Shin Lamed Gimel. But listen to this. V'hasaftan Siper Olav Lamed Beis Shvachim. The person who was maspid the Ramah listed 32 things, regardless of the Ramah. But he was missing a 33rd Shevach on the Ramah. 33, 33, 33. Zok there, V'omar, Ad Sheba Zokin Echad. Until an Alta Yid came. V'omar Sheminig Ramah Zal Hoya B'chol Purim Liril Beish Partzuf L'Isnaker L'Atzim V'Godam Acherim. Then on Purim, the Ramah used to dress up in a costume. And he used to wear a mask. And he changed his clothes. Now it doesn't say he wore the clothes of an Isha. That far it doesn't go. Tzorek b'chol bayis, and he went from house to house. So Ma'ariv Bismanai, come to Ma'ariv. That was the 33rd Shevach that he said on the Ramah. So this is like the Ramah L'Shitase. The Ramah of Ice was very big in Purim costumes. Now, to think Rabbi say today, which Rosh Yeshiva do you know dresses up on Purim, in costume on Purim? But the Ramah was the Rav in Krakow. I mean, you can go today to the Ramah Shul. Ramah wrote 33 Sfarim by the time it was 33. It's a Pella. So that's one fascinating Ha'ara. Then I saw in a Sefer called Nite Gavriel, from Rav Gavriel Tziner, published in Toshin Samach. I found this on the computer. He says a fascinating thing. He says, where did this minhag come to dress up on Purim? Now everybody says, the Purim is upside. Turnabout. He says, that's not how it started. He says, "B'sefer ginas pisan marach harbe ze lachted mokal." So he writes the following. Listen to this. Uvemendine shayne sheben haya nismeitev matzas haYehudim l'ragli haradifes v'hoyu b'neim anoshim mechuborim migezach hashuvim v'nedivim. There were people that were wealthy people. And unfortunately, Rabbi says, you know, in Jewish history, there were redifists, there were pogroms, there were anti-Semitic riots, etc. It wasn't uncommon that people that were wealthy lost their money. But these people, in spite of the fact that they lost everything, they didn't want to take tzedakah. The Samach Kaidim Shemei Chagad the Pischa Hoyim Mashbishin Ubayin Gad Gadla Dagos Man Yilahem Lahem Tzarchi Chag HaMatzos. So however it was, they made it through. Came to Pesach, they said, what's going to be? How are we going to afford wine, matzah? How are we going to make Pesach? Pesach is expensive even in those days. Now, every community, Rabbi say, has Kimcha de Pischa, has Moschitim, but they were too proud, too embarrassed to take. Umasva habush al paneim lekabel min Kimcha de Pischa. V'haya mehem shebacharu yesher b'yem hapurim b'yodim shos hashirim v'anadivim yodam psucha leilach lebateim im mishtanas levush v'ishtanas hakel v'im misva al panav b'hal yakirim ish levakish tmicha l'tzerech hachanas ha-Pesach. That's how the minig of Purim costume started. They would dress up on Purim. Purim is the day Rabbi Isai call a patient yad neistim loy. Somebody comes to your door. They change. He's wearing costume. You can't recognize him. He would disguise his voice, and he would ask for money. Va'ashirim shiru miyatzim shezeu betach ish mechubit shemas v'abush al ponav. And the Gevir would assume that this guy is in fact a person that was once a wealthy person, but unfortunately has fallen on terrible times and he's too embarrassed to ask for money, and therefore they would give generously. That's how the minig of Purim costume started. He writes weiter. Well, you know, it didn't take long for people to hop. You know, you dress up on Purim, you know, the Gevirim think that you're a former Gevir, so the Aniyim went ahead and said, okay, hey, this is a great deal. We'll also dress up. So Memela, that's how, so even Aniyim started doing it. Well, Rabbi say, it went from the Ashirim, and then it went to the Aniyim. Then the Goyim chapped. So Memeli says, Shador Sham Shchunas Hayim Asher Yudim Aniyim B'yem HaKurim Mishanim Abushim Mimas Al Pneim, etc., etc. V'asu HaGoyim B'mir V'gam Hein L'Shed Yad. So the Goyim started doing this. Well, Ulachar Shenitzvada Mizeh Ben HaYehudim. So once the Yidden found out, you know, what are you going to say? So what did they do? Tiknu hakehilas. They made a takana. Shekol mishiyavi bepurim b'mas v'alpanav mechuyi ledaber eisa davar shalosh and hakodesh b'ftei lahavchina im Yehudi. You have to say something either in Lashon Kodesh or in Yiddish. Listen to this. And they would say over the following Pisgam. Guten Purim Malach. Coming to the Gvir say, call him Malach. Guten Purim Malach. Heint is Purim. Morgen is ice. Today is Purim. Tomorrow it's not. Git mir an Edovel und warf mich heraus. Give me an Edovel and throw me out. So that used to be the Nusach. I couldn't pour Malach. Heint is Purim. Morgen is ice. Git mir an Edovel und warf mich heraus. So the Goyim chapped this. So listen, this is not the hardest thing in the world to memorize. You know, Mary had a little lamb, so this is white as snow. You know, Heint is Purim, Morgen is ice. So what did they do? How'd they get around this problem? Zok there that the guy came into you. Umizeh nispashit haminig ledarer b'Purim Purim Taira. That when you came in for a nedava, it wasn't good enough to say this. You had to say over Purim Taira. That's how Purim Taira started. Because the guy may be able to memorize that little poem, but he's not going to know all the shtick that they the Purim Taira that they say. That's Rabbi how he says how costume started, how it went from Ashirim to Aniyim, and then it became universal, and that's how the meaning of Purim Taira started, because that was the Havchana, that was the way to distinguish between Yidden and Goyim. So two rabbis say, sehr interessante ideas, that the Ramah himself wore Purim costumes on Purim, albeit it doesn't say that he dressed up like a woman, even though the Ramah himself is Mekel, Mishnah Berurah is Machmir. As we saw, this is a machlokes Harishonim between Rashi and the Mari Mintz on one hand, and the Yereim and the Bach and the Chidah on the other hand. The Ramah brings both days. The Ramah says the minute lahakal. The Mishnah Berurah is not as comfortable unless it's evident that you are in fact a man by the way some other garment that you're wearing. Parshas Kiseitze has in it one of the more perplexing parshias in it, and that is the parsha of Ben Saira Umayra, the wayward son who's starting on a path that the Chazal say will eventually lead to destruction, to Shvichas Damim. He steals from his father in order to satisfy his taivas of Achil and Shtia. So the Gemara says, Yomus Zakai val Yomus Chayev, let him die while he's still Zakai rather than after he's done a grievous chet of Shvichas Damim. So therefore the Gemara says in Masechta Sanhedrin, famous Gemara, Ben Seir Mer Nidan Hashem Seifei, which means that for the crime of what he's already committed, that he took money from his parents and Ochal Timur Timur Basar, Shasachatzi Legain Hoitalki, for that Chas v'Sholom, the punishment would not be Misa. But he's Nidan Hashem Seifei. So it's a very famous kasha, which in fact we have talked about in past years, and that's a kasha from the Ram Rabbeinu Eliyahu Mizrahi. And that is, the Rabbeinu Eliyahu Mizrahi says, L'char we find a stira to this concept of Nidan Hashem Seif, that you judge him for the eventuality of what he will become. And that is that the Pasuk says, Vayishma Elokim es kol hanar b'asher husham, that when Yishmael was sent away with his mother Hagar, he cried, Kofzu malachi hashares lekatrukai. So he was about to die, Yishmael. So the malachi hashares came to the Rebbeinu Shalom and says, Amru lefanav Rebbeinu ha'ilamim Adam shuasi lahamis es banecha batsama atamalu lebe'er. You're saving him, you're making a nace, you're providing for him a be'er, a well. He's going to eventually kill your children. I mean, imagine, Rabbi Isai, if Yishmael had not lived. Imagine what this world would be like had Yishmael not lived. The tsaris that not only Klal Yisrael is suffering, but the tsaris that the world is suffering, Machmas Yishmael. You know, last week I flew, and if anybody who flies, to go through an airport today is such an ordeal. I mean, you see thousands of people backed up, taking out their laptops, their shoes, their this, their that. I mean, I thought, those Arabs. It's all chassidem. I mean, I'm thinking, what does the Stam person think? But that's the Ketanim Shebahem. But imagine had the Rebbeinu Shalom not kept Yishmael alive. But that's what the Malachi Asher is telling. Amru lefanav Rebbeinu Olamim Adam shuasi lahamis says Banecha bat sama tamala lebe'er. Omer lehen achshav mahu. Rebbeinu Shalom said to them, what is he now? Tzadik Rasha. Omer leit Tzadik. They said he's a Tzadik. Omer lehen eini dones ha'adam ela b'shaitai. He only judged the person at the matzav that he's at right then and there. Here the Gemara says that Rebbeinu Shalom dan Yishmael Basher Husham, because at that point he was still at Tzaddik, in spite of the fact that he was going to become a Rasha. He was going to kill out thousands of Klal Yisrael. And yet by Ben Sair Meira, the Gemara says Ben Sair Meira is Nidan Hashem Sefer. So I saw in the Sefer Beichia that he wants to shtel tzu a following Gemara, and this Gemara, it's also a famous Gemara, and from this Gemara, Abaisai, and how he answers his kasha, is a very appropriate message as we are 3 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara says in Masechta Rosh Hashanah, Tam Yahar Rameir Oimer Shnaim Shaul Lamita V'chol Yen Shaveh. The The Gemara talks about two people that were ill. They had the same macha, they had the same disease. Two people were accused of the same crime. So you have two people that are sick, virtually the same illness. Two people are accused of the same crime, and they're both sentenced to death. And yet one of them walks away healthy, the other one dies. So how come one lived and one died? The same disease, the same sentence, equal, and yet one lives and one dies. And for the Gemara, because one of them davened and he was answered. The answer is because the one that lived davened a davening with a kavana, and a davening that was full of kavana with his whole heart and soul, and therefore he was saved. And the man that had the same illness but didn't live is because he was loy hispalal tefillah shleima. Azay zok the Gemara. How does the Gemara know that? How does the Gemara know that it was because of tefillah? Maybe this person that lived is because he had many schuyos. And maybe this person that died is because he had many debits and many chayvas. How does the Gemara know that it's because of tefillah? Zok the Bechi, you see from this Gemara that in spite of the zchiyos that you may have, or the chayvos that you may have, if you're mispalel a tefillah shalema, you have the capacity to survive no matter what your zchiyos may or not be, or whatever your chayvos may or may not be. It's all totally in the koyach hatefillah, and therefore everything else is irrelevant. The person, in fact, who lived may have had terrible chayvus against him, terrible averis in his record. But the koyach hatefillah trumped any of those negatives. And on the other hand, the person who may have had schuyos, but he didn't have the tefillos that could be mavatal the gzeira against him, he doesn't live. Bazei Rabbi Sai, with this we can answer the kasha. The reason Yishmael was saved is not only because you donned him Asher Husham, because the rule of thumb is, like we see from Ben Sarah Myra, it's Nidan Hashem Seifai. That's the rule of thumb. That's the operative principle. But by Yishmael, there was another factor. You know what that factor was? By Yishma as Koil Hanar. Because Yishmael davened. And therefore, in spite of the fact that Yishmael was Osid Lahamis as Klal Yisrael, and therefore the standard din should have been Nidan Hashem Seifai, but by Yishma as Koil Hanar Basher Husham. It was the koyach of tefillah of Yishmael that trumped everything else. And therefore the kasha is no kasha. The rule is Nidan Hashem Seifai. But even if a person can be Nidan Hashem Seifai, but if right now he has the koyach hatefillah on his behalf, that can even trump the Nidan Hashem Seifai. And as we have mentioned, Rabbi Say, in past years, this is in fact something that the Bnei Yishmael do have going for themselves. And that is the quote, their power of prayer. That they, remember, they are not Ovdei Avodah Zarah. And they're very serious about their tefillah, their praying. They do it 5 times a day. That's what saved them then, and that, I guess, is what gives them the koyach to endure now as well. So the only way we can trump them is also through the koyach hatefillah, and that the Rebbeinu Shalom should also hear our koylos, and that the Rebbeinu Shalom should finally bring this Golus of Yishmael and Edom to an end in Mitzvah Hashem. The other rabbi I'd like to share with you has to do with the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKein. The halacha is, as I'm sure you know, that the Torah tells us that if you find a mother sitting on her chicks or sitting on her eggs, shalech to shalech esaim esabanim tikach loch. You have to send away the mother. You're not allowed to remove the eggs or to remove the chicks in the presence of the mother. Shalech to shalech esaim esabanim tikach loch. So there is a famous pshat that we have talked about in past years. The Netziv says it, others say it as well. Why is it that the Torah gave us this mitzvah and told us we can't take the mother and the bird simultaneously? You have to send away the mother. So the Netziv says, interesting pshat, because if you think about Rabbi Yisai, have you ever tried to catch a bird? It's impossible. When I was a little boy, they used to tell me that the way to catch a bird is to put salt on its tail. If you put salt on its tail, you'll be able to catch the bird. So, of course, me being a small, innocent child, I tried it, and it never worked. Why did it never work? Because you can never get the salt on the tail. So how over here do you come to the situation where you shouldn't take the mother, you have to send away the mother? Why isn't the mother flying away like every bird naturally does? The answer is, says the Netziv, is because the bird, because of its ridas harachmanis, because of the motherly instincts of compassion that the mother wants to protect its brood. So that's why the mother is sticking around. So by taking the mother, you are taking advantage of the fact that because of her natural maternal compassionate instincts, you are in fact you're gaining because of that. You're profiting because of that. The Torah doesn't want you to do that. The mother is doing what mothers should do. The mother is exhibiting midas harachmanis. For you to take advantage of that and to take the bird in the act of when she's being motherly, the Torah doesn't want to do that. So therefore, zok the Torah lesikach hayim alabanim. Azay zok the Netziv. Zan rabbis, I want to say over in Avnei Nezer. The Avnei Nezer is similar to this, but with one big difference, a tremendous knetch, a tremendous insight, a big gewaltige chiddush. Until the time of Noach, until the time of the Mabul, Rabbi Yisai, human beings were also to eat meat. Only after the Mabul were human beings permitted to eat meat. The pasuk says, after the Mabul, there was a fundamental change in the Bria, and you're allowed to eat meat. Then the pasuk says, you're allowed to kill animals, not allowed to kill human beings. And then the pasuk says, why? Because man was created in the image of God. Now the pashtus Rabbi Yisai is that these last words, B'tzelem Lokim Osa Sa'odam, are coming to explain why you're not allowed to kill another human being. But the Sefer Agri, the Kabbalah, says it's explaining more than that. You know why we're allowed to kill animals for our benefit? Because we are the apex of the world. B'tzelem Lokim Osa Sa'odam. Because man is on top of the pyramid, and animals are inferior. But Tzelem Lokim Asa Sa'ada is explaining not only why homicide is mutter, is asur, but it's explaining as well why you're allowed to eat meat. And until now, until the Mabul, until Ki Hishkes Kol Basar is Darkal Haaretz, animals were on a higher madrega. And therefore you couldn't eat animals. After the Chet of the Mabul, animals went down in their madrega. And therefore Adam is higher. But Tzelem Elokim Asa Adam. Azay zok the Sefer Yudikala. What does it mean a person is created B'Tzelem Elokim? So that our Barbanel says, Tzelem Elokim comes from the word sail, a shadow. Ever watched your shadow? You raise your hand, the shadow raises its hand. You turn your head, the shadow changes its head. But Tzelem Elokim Osas Adam means that we were created with the capacity to mimic the Ribbono Shel Olam. That's what it means, B'Tzelem Elokim, B'Tzeil Elokim. We can mimic him. How do you mimic the Ribbono Shel Olam? And how you mimic the Ribbono Shel Olam? Mahu Rachum, Af Ata Rachum. Just like he's compassionate, you have to be compassionate. Mahu Chanun, the Ribbono Shel Olam is generous, we have to be generous. Mahu Kaiver Mesim, Af Ata Hei Kaiver Mesim. Ribbono Shel Olam buries the dead, we have to do that. Mahu Malbish Harumi, Af Ata Malbish Harumi. We are B'Tzelem Elokim because of our capacity to mimic and to imitate the midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zok Avdines are beautiful. When the mother bird doesn't fly away. Why isn't she flying away? Because she has Rachmanas. Because she's a Rachum. Because she has compassion on her brood and wants to protect them. At that very moment that the bird exhibits that midah of Rachmanis, the bird is not stam a bird anymore. It's a higher form of bird. It's a bird that's being a merachim. It's a bird that in a minuscule sense is now imitating and mimicking the Ribbono Shel Olam. Zok to Avnei Nezer, you can't take that bird, you can't kill that bird. Because now that bird is not the same type of bird that's in the shuk. The whole heter is to kill birds and to take birds and to eat birds. Is B'Tzelem Elokim Osas Ha'adam, and animals are not. But that particular moment in time, that the bird is in fact acting with machmanis, with compassion, that bird becomes elevated. And therefore, L'sikach ha'eim, shalech t'shalech es ha'eim, v'sabonim tikach lach.
This year was presented by Rav Yissocher Frand Shlita.